What's going on, everybody? YL from rebelears.com here again with another episode of YL's Weekly Recap. Listen up, man. This is going to be the most exciting weekly recap I have told you guys. Now, the thing about it is there's all kind of exciting events I've done before I started doing this weekly recap series. All right, so I've done all kind of cool things. I've been all kind of cool places, cool venues. I've done some out of town stuff shortly and rarely, but I've done some of that. This week has been the best week ever. All right, and we're just gonna jump right into it. So earlier in the week, I was doing. Of course, it was Halloween, and of course, we had that whole thing going on over the week and over the weekend. So, I did a lot of, earlier in the week, I did a lot of lighting work. It wasn't audio, so we won't talk about it. But in the midst of me doing that, doing some lighting work for a church in their Halloween program, whatever they had going on for those few days, I get a text message and a phone call like, hey, are you available Saturday? And of course, I coach football and we had a playoff game Saturday. So I'm like, oh man, I'm not sure if I can make it. What time? So, it just so happened that it's the perfect time that I can go coach my football game, watch my son play, coach my football game, get out of there on time, get to where I need to be. So they tell me the time, I'm like, yes, I can do it. So then once I confirm that I can do it, they give me the information. They're like, okay, we need you at the stadium. You guys are aware I've been doing all of the Falcons pregame tailgating events, or one of those pregame tailgating events for the Falcons. Every home game I've been there. So it was not new to me by them telling me, hey, we want you to come do some work at the stadium. But what was new was they actually wanted me to run sound for an in-game performance, right? So basically, they wanted me to run sound throughout the whole stadium for Dem Franchize Boyz and Bone Crusher. If you guys are aware, I always talk about how Atlanta does a wonderful job with bringing in our personal legends, our city legends, and keeping them relevant and having them turn up these crowds at these different sporting events. And everyone loves it, and we love the music, and it's just nostalgic. It's Atlanta. You got to be here to understand. So, of course, I've done Dem Franchize Boyz before at the Atlanta Falcons tailgate, but this particular event was an Atlanta United soccer game or football game. And they played against Miami. And Messi was there, right? Like crazy. First time ever going to a soccer game. It was lit, man. Arthur Blank was there. The fans are a different type of fired up at these soccer games, right? Like you see the videos about, the European soccer teams and African soccer teams and just different soccer teams around the world where the fans are really turned up and crazy. Man, listen, these people love the Atlanta United. I'm a fan just off of the energy. I can't wait to go back into that stadium, right? So I get the call. They're like, hey, this is what's going on. We're going to patch you into the house. We're going to give you this type of console. You got this many microphones. You got some in-ear monitors. Be here at this time. We're going to do a sound check for the artist. And at halftime, it's all on you. And I'm like, okay. Of course, I would be crazy to say that I wasn't a little nervous, I guess you can say. Not really nervous, because the thing about live sound is once you know it, right? A lot of the different variables is what make live sound different. Where I'm going to be at, what type of event is it, how many people are going to be on stage, how many microphones, how many speakers, how big, how close the speakers are, how big is the stage. These type of variables make live sound different. The procedure and the process is always the same. I've done plenty of performances. I've dealt with plenty in-ear monitors, plenty of microphones. plenty of artists on the stage rapping or singing or whatever over a track. Bands, I do this. I can do this. This is nothing. But we're talking about, I don't know how many thousands of people are here. And if you know anything about stadium audio, it's usually really bad echoes at stadiums. Outside of the national anthem, we see all kind of botched performances in these stadiums because of something that's going on with the sound. The artists are behind the track. There is a delay on them. It's, all type of things happen, right? Even at concerts, when they come to these big arenas and they do these concerts at these huge arenas. So that's where the nerves come in. Like, okay, I got to make sure that, this is my first time proving that I can do this. They believe that I can do it. That's why they called me. But this is my first time being able to prove that. And it was just major that, I got that chance to do it. So the nerves are like, I have to perform. Of course I did. Dem Franchize Boyz came up. They rocked it. It went crazy. I actually got some of the videos and the different things that they shared on social media to get the different point of views of the actual performance. Then they introduced Bone Crusher. Bone Crusher came up there. He went crazy, man. I don't know what it is about Never Scared, but when I tell you the city of Atlanta will turn up anytime that song comes on, they went crazy. It was about a 5-minute performance. I had a CL1 console. I only used 3 microphones, 3 in-ear monitors. Really simple. I was actually in charge of playing the track. That was my first time actually being in charge of playing the artist track. Usually there's a DJ there that handles playing the track. I'm just the guy that makes it sound good, right? So I had to make sure I was right on time with my cues and I was playing the right tracks. And it was a lot different than what I'm used to, but it went wonderful. It was all smiles at the end of the show. I proved that I could do it. It sounded great. The artists were all smiles. Nobody was cussing me out and mad at me for messing up their performance. It was a success, man. It was a success. This was the very first time I've ever done audio inside of this huge stadium. I've worked in this stadium a lot. I've done audio and ran sound in the different suites. They have different suites on the bottom. In those different smaller rooms, kind of like a breakout setup. I've done audio in those rooms. Never done audio throughout the whole stadium, PA. And man, it was a success. It was a full circle moment. I'm going to tell you guys a story. So back in 2000 and what was that, 15 maybe? So about 9 years, maybe almost 10 years ago, Ray and I, we were interning at Castle Hill Studios. If you guys been following us, we talk about this a lot. We still work out at Castle Hill Studios. That is still pretty much our home studio after all of these years, going on 10 years. When we were interning there, Music Soul Child used to come in all the time. That was like his thing. He would come in and he would do like 10, 12-hour blocks. And one of the guys that would always come in to his sessions was Bone Crusher. And, when we were interning there, those guys, they were cool. They were down to earth. Bone Crusher is the most humble person, and of course, he's a lot older now. But man, just one of the most humble guys, funny, really, really, really good spirited guys. And that was like one of the highlights for me interning. I'm like, okay, man, Music Soul Child, Bone Crusher, like, outside of a few other artists that we did see coming out of Castle Hill, those were 2 artists that were always there. And fast forward, 9 years later, here I am in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in front of, I don't know how many thousands of people, rocking out, doing live sound for Bone Crusher. This is the moment where we talk about staying down, where we talk about staying in your dream, where we talk about, taking advantage of the environments and the opportunities, right? It's so many people that I've met over the years that just did not want the dream enough. They did not want to chase and work hard enough for the dream. And I've been through so much chasing this dream. And that's a whole nother different type of story. But, you know, it's not always promising when you're chasing something that's not always in front of you. And 9 years later, man, from me going to a studio intern, not having a clue how I would turn audio into my career with a family, 9 years later, I'm running sound for Bone Crusher. The same guy that I used to intern for, and we used to go across the street and get no moss, and we used to go to the gas station for. I'm running sound for this same artist, and it's full circle. And of course, 9 years seem like a long time, and maybe it is, maybe it's not, but it's not long enough time to where that full circle moment wasn't able to come back to me, right? This could have happened 10 years, 15, 20 years from now. It could have never happened, right? It happened to the point to where Bone Crusher is still performing. He's still doing his thing. The city still loves him. He's still turning up in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And I'm right there, right? This is major, right? And I wouldn't even call it manifestation. Of course, I manifested where I want to be and I work towards it. That's the most important thing about it. I worked hard to get to where I'm at. I really just think that it's just one of those moments to where we might call it fate. You might call it all kind of different things. I just call it, when I get into opportunities and I put myself into different environments, I always get the most out of it. I always have a good attitude about it. And I always just take it all the way seriously. And I'm just here, like I said before, all of this is all about inspiration, man. This is the story. This is the recap of staying down and just chasing the dream. That might not be a big deal to a lot of people. And to be honest, it's not a super huge big deal, but it is because it's a full circle moment. And sometimes when you're chasing your dreams, you really need full circle moments to keep you going. This is one of those moments that make me want to go even harder. This is one of those moments that make me say, I made the right decision by going through everything I had to go through to get to where I'm at now. And I'm only going further. So like I always say, be inspired. This was the greatest week. And to be honest, Sunday was another great day. I just had two wonderful career first back to back. I'm going to save Sunday for next week weekly recap because I got some more audio, a few more days of audio to do this week. But this episode right here is just all about staying down, full circle moments. I just did live sound in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and it was a success. Be inspired. Chase your dreams. People going to look at you like you're crazy. They're going to tell you, hey, man, it's going to be hard for you to make a living doing that. Listen, chase it. 9 years might seem like a long time, but it wasn't too long because I was still able to experience this full circle moment. So it didn't take too long for this full circle moment to impact me and to push me to go harder, to give me that confirmation that I made the right decision. So I hope you guys are inspired. As always, until next time, refuse to sound ordinary.